And we are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Vinnie, and my co-host over here,
Oh,
David
wow.
Zen Lone Master, a.k.a. Iron Man.
Oh, I don't know about that. I definitely can't fill those shoes.
The intro, it goes in like halfway through, so it'd be interesting to see when someone sees this, what's happening. They're like, oh, what's going on there? But anyways.
They see the magic ahead of time?
Exactly. So this is our 10-minute market update. We do this every Monday and Friday. So Friday, going over the strictly the numbers first. We're talking about active properties on the market. Okay, in San Diego County, single family, condos, townhomes, row homes. Didn't factor in mobile homes manufactured. Under 4,000 still, 3,969. If you've been watching us, you're aware that we were sitting at about 7,800 last June, and now we're about a little under 4,000 pending. We're talking about basically 1,000 more pending properties that we do have active properties on the market. If we're looking at actives to pending, a little bit slightly higher in the 700 to 300 range. And when we jump into active under 700,000, we're talking about basically close to double the amount of pending properties and active properties. One interesting note, again, if this is your first time joining us, coming soon is a new feature for the multiple listing service. So if you get a listing now, you put it into the MLS, other realtors can see it as a coming soon. Might not have pictures, anything like that, but they'll know it's coming soon. Those don't get syndicated out. They'll get sent out to you by your realtor of choice. Something very interesting, though, is the coming soon. Last Friday was at 197, I think, somewhere around there. Dropped by around 50 coming soons, and not that many new ones coming on the market this week. So I'll be interested to see if we're getting less active properties on the market or what's going to happen with that. But there was a change to the MLS recently. Maybe that played a factor. But that'll be kind of interesting to see what happens by the end of next week.
It seems like your properties, the 700K to 3 million, that's where you're getting more active properties because it's harder to buy. Like once you surpass the $1 million mark, it's way harder to buy. And the guidelines on jumbo are way stricter on your home loan. So the number that's higher kind of makes sense because the under 700K, look at that. It's like 1,500, 1,600. That's not that many properties for sale.
Yeah, no, it's as a whole of all San Diego County, not a drastic amount to choose from. Just so when you're talking to your realtor, see if there's any coming soon. Like here's a glimpse that I put in on the screen over here. It kind of gives you an idea of some of the coming soon properties that are available. Reach out to your trusted resource, and they kind of walk you through and see if any that are going to be fit for you.
Yeah, you may want to jump on those ahead of time because otherwise you're going to get into that bidding war. Those coming soons is actually more of the strategic way to get a first look at the properties with your agent before it hits the market and goes buck wild with 20, 30 offers on the property that you want.
And on a separate note, if you're not watching baseball, then sorry, go Padres. You see in the background right there.
That was a home run.
Home run, exactly. Anyway, so talk about rates. How are rates going?
Well, so I know when we started this weeks and weeks ago, as you noticed, FICO scores have been pushed up to 680. Well, now they're back down on your FHA VA down to the 640. So I closed a couple transactions this week in the 640 range. They were on VA, and those were at 2.625 with credits back to the borrower.
Oh my gosh!
Because you could get 2.5. You could even get 2.25 if you paid some money to get it. Which if you're an FHA or a VA buyer, especially VA, I don't think you'll ever see that again. That is utterly amazing. Not every lender has that, full disclosure, and some people are going to charge you more points than others. I think that 2.25 was costing you like a half a point, but that's ridiculous. The normal rate's like 2.6, 2.7. APRs apply, fees do apply. We got to throw that out there. But full disclosure, that 640 FICO stuff is coming back. That's amazing.
I know Well, I know it varies, right? For people that are not aware, it varies on basically buying points, things like that. What's roughly a rough range of buying a half a point to bring you down to that 2.25?
So let's put it this way: if the house is 300 grand, the half a point's $1,500.
Okay.
So you spend $1,500 to get that rate as a VA buyer. You never ever refinance again. Not to mention, even if you're just adding $100, $200 to the payment every time, you're going to shave like 8 years off that loan.
Yeah.
Because there's almost no interest. The loans now are at car rate loans. And a majority of people, like when you bring up your data, the people that are getting loans that are between 510 and 701, those are the ones where the rates have kind of stayed in the middle, where it's like you're looking at 3% to 3.25%, unless you want to pay a little points, and you can get down maybe 2.875. But at the same time, it's your high balance loans, which is a majority of San Diego, is the best it's ever been. And we're getting a lot more waivers now on properties. So for those of you out there who are wondering what's a waiver, it's not this. A waiver basically means that the lender comes in, looks at your property. We use an algorithm and we go, you know what, there's been enough sales around this house that I don't need an appraisal. So that's kind of interesting because, you know, Vinnie, when you just showed the volume of sales, there's not that many. But yet the volume that is selling, price points are higher. The loans are the strictest they've ever been, which means we can now use these algorithms, which is actually speeding up the closing time. So it's kind of unique, you know, not as exciting for everyone, but for me, it's kind of exciting. And if you're a borrower and you want to save $600, boom.
I mean, people ask, okay, why are people still buying right now with COVID? People are losing jobs, you know, the unknown. And logically, it definitely makes sense that you're not going to have as much business going on. Yet rates are so ridiculously low. People need places to live. I mean, that's what's pushing the market, I think, for the most part. Also, too, the shortage of inventory. I mean, we have that steady demand with the low inventory. So the properties that are available, they're going to get a little more interest on it.
For those of you out there who are going, oh, the housing market's going to collapse and inflation's going to click in, let's just use your example and go, you buy a house today at, let's just say 2.875% interest rate, and the housing prices drop 15% and rates go up to 4.5%. The payment's the same. If you look at it, 15% price drop at 4.5% rate, it's the same now. The only problem is long-term, you're paying much, much more for that house. And that's what a lot of people don't see. The devil's in the details. The higher the rates are, the more interest you pay on the house, which is the more you pay for the house long term. So for all the Debbie Downers that think we're going to have another 2008 again, even if it does and goes up to 4.5%, you're still paying way more for your house than you would now at the rates where they're at.
I mean, something I brought up before, looked at the numbers, talking about a 1% difference. If you're talking about a 1% difference, it gives you roughly about 38,000 purchasing power on a $600,000 property with a 1% difference. So you're talking about 2% difference. I mean, do the math. You're talking about, what does that put you at? Like close to 18%. Yeah, I mean, things like, I mean, just really look at the monthly payments. That's the biggest thing. If you're watching us live right now, we're going to have our buyer seminar, our buyer 101 tomorrow. Feel free to.
It's an easy class for those of you who are afraid of school and afraid of failing. There's no test.
No test.
We don't grade you. We're not here to judge.
So join us tomorrow, 9:30. Follow us on our market. If you're following us on Facebook right now or YouTube, please subscribe to each platform and join us every Monday and Friday. And hopefully join us tomorrow. Any last words, David?
Let's see. Exercise, eat right, sleep, read a book.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Have a good day.